this organization for quite some time, kind of
Mhm.
playing some roles as an architect and all. Okay. So I want to hear out from you. I could see your profile resume where you mentioned lot experience and all. Can you just brief me what actually what as a data architect, what type of projects you work so far, what is what task you have done as a data architect? Can you just give me high level overview?
So, as of data architect, I have built 4 to 5 projects in data world as part of data engineering and data analytics, along with data modeling. As part of data architect, I have delivered a couple of projects which are with respect to migration. So, loading the entire data over the weekend is one type of project I have delivered, along with phase-wise delivery of the data in bits and pieces. These two flavors I have delivered as an architect for where I understand the business and understand the existing. These are already existing projects. I understand the layouts and existing constraints of the databases and storage layer and the system required resources, and then orchestrate the solution to get them optimal out of it. So we were moving the data from on-prem to the cloud. One was like MySQL server, and other was like mainframe. So here, we did the historical data movement as a whole in one project, and part by part as another project where we created pipelines in Data Factory in Azure to store the data, and we have created a virtual warehouse in Gen 2 as a Synapse, and further on top of it, we did some reporting and interactive dashboards in Power BI and Tableau, along with data analytics layer on the warehouse, and accumulating the data from multiple sources to the warehouse, and created a medallion architecture to move the data from on-prem to cloud in batch by batch with respect to each source at a certain period of time. So underlying this is the goal of the project, and in terms of implementation, understanding the existing layer and how can we better optimize the existing database schema, like to reporting to understand the new requirements and fit the new requirements in the existing databases using the types of implementations in data like data vault or Campbell or hierarchical model, class model. So designing and implementing the conceptual model and physical model along with Python's code for a number of tables to replicate the similar table structure, and then reverse engineer to get the access from ES studios and recreate the tables and accesses for the tables, and loading the data one by one from parent to child, and maintaining referential integrity in RDBMS, and moving them to Hive tables like NoSQL, where we maintain the same consistency without constraints, etc. Along with that, creating once the modeling is done, I will do normalization form checks, like the data is being consistent and maintained. After that, creating mapping document and provide the security layer, etc. After and moving towards data engineering part, creating pipelines, how the pipelines are working, can we implement concurrency and parallelism, how the resources are being utilized, what is the health of the warehouse and system, are there any job failures, how can we track it and store it in a job when the job is running as an audit log or a table, analyze the logs where the resources are being consumed in the development activities and production activities, and designing more better ways like how
No,
to.
that's fine. So I got it. So in you mentioned in your recent project, you played a role as a data engineer model where you reviewed business requirement and you composed source to target mapping documents and all. Can you
Mm.
elaborate? What are those requirements? Can you just list out what are those five requirements? At least I want to understand what project you
Mhm.
have done, right? So can you just list down four to five requiremements, whatever critical in recent project?
Like more from modeling to data engineering, correct?
Whatever your recent project, I want to hear out those five
Mhm.
business requirements.
Yeah, five business scenarios, which is from what I have implemented in modeling and what I have implemented in data engineering, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, in terms of data modeling, we have ongoing requirements coming in, which is like to implement STD type to each one scenario and adding set of columns on top of. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry for that. So uh, implementing slowly changing dimensions, adding new columns for the fact and dimension tables using link and satellite hubs, and we have table changes and column changes on the ongoing schemas. Like we have curated, sorry, raw curated vision layers. Have created multiple layers. Mostly requirements are into like
What
creating.
what is this? What is this customer? What actually? Can you just give me details about your customer? Means what's their business? Why are they using all this technical stack?
Mhm, mhm. So our customer is Goldman. So
Okay.
we have in Goldman we have other subsidiary customers where we call as TCS Law, which is Capital One, which holds
Mm-hmm.
the data for certain products of the GS. So moving the data to be compatible with to Goldman. So this is the underlying. We have certain business aspect differences. Those are addressed in transforming, for example, like the interest rates and APR values, and also the opening and closing balance, and standardizing the data to be suitable for warehouse, like decimal precisions and data types to be compatible and using hash keys, etc.
What are those data types? Means if you say data types to be compatible, what are that? Can you elaborate?
So we have primitive data types to complex data types. For example, int, decimal, float, and JSON data types as well. The challenge where we faced is like the source was a flat file system, which is mainframes, where the data has been stored in a compact variable format. So converting that to a bitwise and then human readable format was one of the conversion type we have faced and implemented to store it in cloud layer, which is S3 from mainframe. Venkat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
one of the data type, and as set of the databases,
So
we'll
what
have a
type of
data type. Hmm.
transformations you have implemented? Can you just tell me what are those transformations you mentioned that you added lot transformations in your source to target mapping? So what are those transformations you applied as a kind of a data architect? Means what's your involvement? Basically, I want to know that.
So basically, we use SQL joins and join keys to connect the tables from source and target and create the target variety of the data, like conversion of data type and getting the valid values from the customer. Like we have duplicate values for a joint account for a customer. We might have secondary customer and the respective balances being shared, those type of transformations. Like using PySpark we did like normal transformation using filters, uh, writing complex SQLs to get the required data using dense rank, windowing functions, and as part of architect understanding the connection between the domain tables and then establishing the links between them and the keys establishment like surrogate keys and
Okay.
uh, hash
Got it.
keys
Got
join
it,
there.
Arif. Yeah, yeah. Understood. Understood. So, what is your understanding? What is the difference between lake house and a data warehouse and a data lake? What is your understanding the difference between these three systems
Mhm, mhm. So, lake house, data lake house, and warehouse, correct? So,
and a
lake
data
house,
lake? Hmm. Yep.
uh, lake house, data lake house, data warehouse, these
Hmm.
three, correct? Or four?
Hmm. Hmm. Three.
Okay, three. Okay, lake house both serves a similar purpose and relying like storing the data. On top of it, like in lake house, we don't have asset properties to be compliant and the data should be consistent and available. Those kind of features are not available in lake house. But in terms of data lake house, we get them in hand. And in terms of warehouse, we get them versioning of the data as well. Like the data should be structured format. Should be tables only and not semi-structured or unstructured. So in terms of lakehouse and data lakehouse, we can store the data in file formats as well, which can be structured or unstructured or semi-structured. So basic difference is like how the what
Okay.
the nature of the data and asset properties. Uh,
Understood. Understood. What is the difference? So, what data lakes you work so far?
I work for open source data warehouse, where data lake house, data warehouse, and Hive.
No, no. I'm
Uh,
asking
Synapse.
what data lakes you use it so far? What data lakes?
Yeah, open
Suppose
source.
take
Mhm. Open
take
source
anything.
Hive, Synapse. Sorry,
Okay.
repeat the question, please.
No, I'm asking what data lakes you use. Suppose you take AWS. What type of data lakes you worked so far?
Mhm. Okay, in AWS, we have Redshift, but the project was not using. We have gone through the S3 storage, but for that
No.
project, the data was not. Yeah,
Let
I
me
got the
let me
question.
keep the
Yeah.
question like this. Okay.
Mhm.
Now you have AWS services, right? What is the data lake in AWS?
Redshift.
Okay. What is lakehouse in AWS?
That I'm not sure. But I need to
What
look at
about
it.
data warehouse in AWS?
Data warehouse is Redshift.
Okay. What other data warehouses you are aware?
Synapse,
Okay.
Hive,
So I explained these three
Oracle.
services, right?
Yeah.
Snowflake, where it will fall into means Snowflake
Cloud
is
data
data lake
warehouse.
or data lake house or what
Cloud
things it
data
does.
warehouse.
Okay, okay. So what is your experience in data ingestion? What are the kind of can you explain me? Have you ever worked on data ingestion? Means directly.
Yeah, yeah. Data ingestion as part of I have ingested from multiple sources and APIs, which are batch as well as real near real time. So here we have different file formats like CSV files, JSON files, and API calls connecting through gateways and storing them, and uh, near real time using Kafka. So here,
So
transaction related
what is the
data.
purpose of real time for your business? Can you explain why they're using near
Mhm,
real time? What is the business purpose?
mhm, mhm. So in near real time, in latest project, we did not have much use for the near real time. In old project, we had to get the transactions to be reflected and updated, which is related to credit card transactions. So in the current project, near real time scope was limited, but in previous project, which was related to transactions of the Apple card, there we were using near real time updates and get the transaction use of near real-time features, Venkat. Sorry.
Okay. What is the flow between source to target, real time, near real time? What are the technical stack? Can you are you able to just explain me what is that stack between source to target?
So here we have uh, front end as a velocity framework where they create a UI where customers can feed the data in. From there, the data would come into the Java APIs using Spring Boot and then store the data into MongoDB. From there, the data is stored and kept persistent, and in between, they move the data into HDFS as well, depending on the nature of the data, like how the data is required. All the data is not necessary to be transactional, like details of the customer, and also this data is being kept and persistent, Venkat, and then it will be verified across transactional completion, and then being saved within half second or one.
Okay, because you said you worked on real time, near real time batch processing and all. What are
Mm-hmm.
the challenges you face? All these data projects. What are the challenges you faced?
Mm-hmm. Like mostly related to platform related issues, like some type of data uh, uh, is usable in source, but when we move the same data into other platform, like from NoSQL to SQL, now some special characters would be coming in, and when we are dealing with files, the UTF formats of the file really matters, and special characters conversion is not easily direct forward. We need to come up with some strategy to overcome it, and whenever we are dealing with real time data, the in-sync replicas and the offset of the partition should be stored and then persist to a queue so that we don't have much loss in the data. Uh, and whenever the application goes down, we need to retrieve the data from the persistent storage. And in addition to that, we keep a backup of 1 week of data so that in case of any mishappens or application goes down, we can always have access to the duration of 1 week to retrieve the data back from the storage. These things I have been faced.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. In discussion, you also mentioned you implemented a CD type 2, right?
Yes.
Can you just actually why client need SCD type? Is it what type you implemented? Type 1 or type 2 or type 3 or what type?
So I have in this project we have implemented type 2 as the data is migrated, and as part of technical aspect we have made it as a type 2, not as part of business value add. So to get the query in an optimal fashion to run it quickly to and the client is interested into the active records for certain reports. So we have considered that as a better fit to get the active records for set of tables, like any catastrophes happen or any transaction related issues for delinquencies and for credit details and customer master details. So we do keep the history as well, but the requirement of the active records was really needed for certain reportings where we deal with like statements and the transactions related to monthly batch. So we have gone with that option, Venkat.
Okay. Have you ever worked on medallion architecture?
Yeah, medallion architecture or multi-hall architecture, both are same, correct? So about theory, anywhere in all the projects, also raw data should be kept as is so that we can recreate it in practical life as well. Apart from that, we have curated layer. In curated layer, we have business transformations, and we have created like a data vault type of architecture so that we do have minimal downtime when we are dealing with changes with respect to the schema of tables, so that we have opted data vault model. I do agree, like there would be performance bottlenecks when we go with the satellite hub links kind of architecture, but that was the option best suited at the initial phase of the migration, as we have lot of ongoing requirement changes, and those are not confined at this moment. So maybe later point of time we might be looking at the other way of looking at it. We have a lot of transformations involved in terms of business, like in SQL we'd be getting the dense rank from a particular table, and summing up, grouping the logic, and joining set of tables to get the required values. So these all kind of joins should be done and then placed in the curated layer in an partitioned and optimized fashion with respect to the data analyst, like business day and some business columns clustered by as well, so that when we are scanning the data, it would rightly hit the specific value. And from there, with respect to the client needs, we are creating a provision layer to the report, exact replica of the report into the provision layer, so that the data would be already available, and one only the hit should be there whenever the client is needed. The client needs the data.
Okay. Because you mentioned a lot snowflake experience as well, right? So I suppose scenarios like this. Okay, your client is complaining that your snowflake queries are running very slow. It is taking a lot of time. Okay.
Mhm.
Basically long running queries in snowflake. As a architect, data architect, what are the checks you are aware? How do you, I mean, deal this situation as a data architect?
Mhm. As a data architect, so Uh, in Azure, I know, like we'll be having reports, and there we will see like what is the runtime of the query, how many queries are in queue, and what are the queries taking time, and why are there any resources are down. So basically, I do dig into the logs, and we do have dashboards to track such scenarios which are inbuilt given by Azure. In Snowflake. Also, I think there will be like uh, dashboards. I don't think dashboards are available in the recent last versions, but this is where I see like logs and the dashboards where the queries are being running for longer time bottlenecks, and see like which query is taking time and which job or pipeline is consuming time, and then see that particular query how it is written. Does it has driver specific operations where the memory is getting overloaded, and how can we remove the retrieval of the rows, like let's say it may take 10 billions of rows, but we might need interested in 100K rows. How the filtering, how the query is written basically. Is it written in small map table, and we are using caching properly or not, like small table in the left, and then right table with a huge record, like base table is in driver. Are we using proper filtrations or not? Um, and uh, how the mapping is being provided, the database architecture, how they are linking, how best way to suit, and there will be always optimizations available for query to query depending on the need, and the data is partitioned or not. These things are.
Do you also have idea what are the test three storage classes?
Yeah, I think we have in Azure, sorry, in AWS, we have Active and Glacier. So Glacier is kind of we need to get informed, and then we can keep the data in half a day or 1 or 2 days. And for
Mhm.
active storage, the data will be available within seconds. So there are many classes, but basically we'll use for archival Glacier and Active S3 for quick access of data. And we do have like
So,
buckets and
how strong you are on SQL and PySpark?
yeah, I would rate a 9 out of 10. Okay.
So,
So,
can you explain me what is that your code means, the logic of your PySpark code to read CSV data and apply some transformations to get some aggregations?
so basically, we have Spark session enabled in Databricks, and with that, we would give like dot read and dot CSV file, and we give the path and inference of the schema along with header is enabled or not, and the format, so that the data is read into the data frame. And on top of it, we can do transformations like dropping columns, getting the columns like df dot columns, and select to select, and to filter like dot filter is also there. Dot where it will also work. We have functions in SQL dot functions APIs, where we use functions like lit, call, and for rank, row numbers, we also have separate APIs built by Spark to pull the data. And uh, we convert the data frame into RDT, and we do collect, we do repartition and shuffle. These things are grouped by, reduced by, uh, and selecting required columns, and do some sort of data frame operations and validating the data. These things are all system in the initial phase of my career. And then 2 years into Azure cloud, which is as a data engineer. And in between, I got chance to work in Snowflake as well, to architect, sorry, to maintain warehouse, and write queries, and work on tasks, and like basically using Snowpark with PySpark and the Snowflake. So I 2 years into Snowflake, and two and a half into Azure, and I got chance to work for a project for 1 year in AWS as well. So this is how
AWS,
my
what you worked on AWS?
uh, Lambda S3, and creating triggers on Lambda functions, etc., and some set of APIs. Not keen into AWS, but more towards Azure.
Okay. Azure, what are the services you worked on?
uh, Data Factory, Databricks, Synapse, uh, and
Expecting lot of projects and all. There are so many ongoing projects are there. Again, there are so many architects, developers, scrum masters with a team also, right? So it's all, I mean, in existing customers also projects are getting added. We are also getting new customers, new projects and all, right? So it is a mix of, I don't know exactly where this role planned for, but it's combination of everything is there here as well, like any organization.
okay. And what do you like in this company? Any specific thing?
I always